The combat arena filled with thousands of spectators from dozens of species. Betting pools opened across the station. Most odds favored the Corvins by overwhelming margins. Nex Van entered the arena wearing ceremonial armor. At 8 feet tall, with armored skin and natural weapons, he looked unstoppable. Jin-Ho wore simple combat gear and looked small by comparison. "The first trial is endurance combat," the arena master announced. "No weapons. Fight until surrender or unconsciousness. Medical breaks allowed between rounds." The first round lasted 3 minutes. Nex Van's powerful strikes sent Jin-Ho flying across the arena floor. But each time Jin-Ho hit the ground hard, he rolled with the impact and got back up. When Nex Van's claws raked across his chest, leaving deep cuts, Jin-Ho just pressed the wounds closed and kept fighting. "Why won't you stay down?" Nex Van roared in frustration. "Because I'm not finished yet," Jin-Ho replied, wiping blood from his mouth. By the 5th round, something changed. Nex Van's strikes, while still powerful, seemed to hurt Jin-Ho less. The human moved differently now, anticipating attacks and minimizing damage. His counterattacks found weak spots in Corvin anatomy that no one had exploited before. So Min watched from the medical station, amazed. "He's learning their fighting style in real time," she told Tae-hoon. "Every hit teaches him something new." Round 8 saw Jin-Ho take a massive blow that should have shattered his ribs. He rolled with it, used the momentum to spin behind Nex Van, and delivered a precise strike to a nerve cluster. The Corvin warrior stumbled for the first time. "Impossible," Nex Van gasped. "That technique requires years of study." "Pain is an excellent teacher," Jin-Ho replied. "Every time you hurt me, I learned something new about how to hurt you back." The crowd fell silent as they realized what they were witnessing. This human wasn't just enduring damage. He was evolving his fighting technique with each exchange. Captain Lee Jin-Ho walked through the metal halls of his ship called Resilience. The ship was not big, but it was strong and had served his crew well for many months. They had been flying through space, looking for new planets and mapping unknown. Star systems today was different, though. Today they would stop at Nexus Station for supplies and rest. Jin-Ho was tired. His crew was tired, too. 12 humans had been working hard in the black emptiness of space for 4 months straight. They needed food, water, and fuel. Most of all, they needed to walk on solid ground that did not shake when the engines fired. Nexus Station was huge. It was 10 times bigger than any Earth space station Jin-Ho had ever seen. The station was shaped like a giant, wheel spinning slowly in space. Ships from hundreds of different worlds docked here. Aliens of all shapes and sizes traded goods and shared news from across the galaxy. Dr. Park. So-Min followed Jin-Ho as he inspected the cargo bay. She was the ship's doctor and his closest friend on the crew. So-Min had joined the mission because she wanted to study alien diseases and help humans stay healthy in deep space. She had saved their lives many times when strange space sickness tried to kill them. The cargo bay was loud. Artificial gravity generators hummed and buzzed. They were old and needed repair, but they still worked. The magnetic clamps that held their cargo containers in place vibrated with each pulse of the generators. Jin-Ho made notes on his tablet about what needed fixing. 3 alien workers moved around the bay. 2 were tall blue creatures with 4 arms each. The third was a small, fuzzy being that looked like a walking carpet. They were loading supplies that the humans had. Bought food packets, medicine spare parts, and water recycling filters. All the things needed to keep humans alive in space. Jin-Ho walked over to check a large shipping container. It was 3 tons of refined metals that they would trade at the next system. The container was held in place by 6 magnetic clamps, but Jin-Ho noticed that 2 of the clamps were sparking. They were failing. He turned to call So-Min over to help him when the gravity generators gave a loud grinding noise. The whole ship shook for a moment. Then the damaged magnetic clamps failed completely. The massive container broke free. It swung toward Jin-Ho like a giant metal fist. He saw two of his crew members, Tae-hoon and Da-hee, standing right in its path. They were looking at their tablets and had not noticed the danger. Jin-Ho did not think, he just moved. His body threw itself forward, pushing both crew members out of the way. The container hit him instead, crushing his left arm against the metal wall of the cargo bay. The sound was terrible. It was the sound of bones breaking and metal crushing flesh. Jin-Ho felt white-hot pain shoot through his whole body. His arm was bent in 3 places where arms should not bend. His shoulder was pushed out of its socket. His hand looked like someone had stepped on it. The alien workers stopped moving. They stared at Jin-Ho with wide eyes. Some of them made sounds of fear and worry. Most species in the galaxy would be dead or unconscious from such an injury. The pain alone would kill many aliens. So-min ran toward Jin-Ho, her medical bag already in her hands. She expected to find him screaming or passed out. Instead, she found him looking at his destroyed arm with a calm expression. Jin-Ho grabbed his broken forearm with his good hand. He felt along the bones, checking where they were broken. Then he did something that made So-min freeze in shock. He twisted his arm sharply. There was another loud crack as the bones moved back into position. Jin-Ho gritted his teeth, but did not scream. He moved his hand to his shoulder and popped the joint back where it belonged. Another crack echoed through the cargo bay. The aliens watched in complete silence as Jin-Ho methodically straightened each of his bent fingers. He flexed his hand, testing each joint. Then he rolled his shoulder and moved his arm in a full circle. So-min whispered in Korean, "What are you doing?" Then she switched to standard language, the common tongue that all space travelers used. "You need medical attention right now. That injury should have killed you." A tall reptilian alien slithered closer. Her name was Veltara, and she was the cargo supervisor for this section of the station. Her scales kept changing colors, which meant she was very upset or frightened. "Human captain," she said in a hissing voice. "You must go to healing chamber immediately. That damage appears fatal to most species. I have seen injuries like this kill strong warriors." Jin-Ho picked up a tool that had fallen when the container hit him. He used his previously crushed hand to grip it firmly. "Thanks, but I'm fine," he said to the alien. "Humans heal differently than other species. We had to learn how to fix ourselves, or we would have died out long ago." He turned to his crew, who were still staring at him in amazement. "Let's finish loading the supplies," he said. "We launch in 6 hours. I want to be gone before the station administrators start asking too many questions about safety violations." Tae-hoon was the first to move. He was Jin-Ho's oldest friend and had served with him for 5 years. "Captain, are you sure you're okay? That container weighed 3 tons. Your arm was completely destroyed." Jin-Ho moved his arm normally as if nothing had happened. "Look for yourself," he said. "The bones are already starting to heal. Human bones can repair themselves completely in a few weeks. The muscles will be stronger than before once they rebuild." Da-hee, the security officer, whistled in amazement. "I've seen you do crazy things before, Captain, but that was something else. How did you not pass out from the pain? Pain is just information," Jin-Ho replied. "It tells us something is wrong, but it doesn't have to stop us from functioning. My ancestors survived on a world that tried to kill them every day. If pain stopped them from moving, they would have been eaten by predators." The alien workers were talking among themselves in their own languages. Veltara kept staring at Jin-Ho as if he was some kind of impossible creature. She had managed cargo operations at Nexus Station for 70 years. She had seen thousands of different species from across the galaxy. Never had she witnessed anything like what she had just seen. Most civilized species had evolved past the need for such primitive healing abilities. They used medical technology and healing chambers to repair damage to their bodies. The idea of manually setting broken bones was barbaric and impossible, but this human had done exactly that, and he was moving. around normally as if the terrible injury had never happened. So Min ran her medical scanner over Jin Ho's arm. The readings confirmed what her eyes could not believe. The fractures were already beginning to knit together. The torn muscles were starting to repair themselves. The damaged blood vessels were rerouting around the injury sites. "This is medically impossible," she muttered, looking at the scanner readings. "Your healing rate is accelerated beyond anything I have seen before. Even for a human, this is extraordinary." Jin Ho shrugged. "Maybe the low gravity on the station is helping, or maybe I'm just stubborn. Either way, we have work to do." The other crew members slowly went back to their tasks, but they kept glancing at their captain with new respect. They had always known that Jin Ho was tough, but this was beyond anything they had imagined. Veltara continued to watch from a distance. She was already composing a report in her mind. This incident would have to be documented. The medical staff would want to examine this human. The station scientists would demand an explanation. As Jin Ho lifted heavy cargo containers with his previously broken arm, Veltara realized that everything she thought she knew about human limitations was wrong. This species was far more dangerous and resilient than anyone had imagined. The implications were staggering. If humans could repair such devastating injuries without medical intervention, what else could they do? How had such a species remained? Relatively unknown in galactic society, she decided to send an immediate message to the Hegemony Council. This information was too important to wait for the standard monthly reports. The galaxy needed to know what they were dealing with when it came. To humans, Jin Ho finished the cargo inspection unaware that his simple act of self-repair had just changed how an entire space station viewed his species. Within hours, the news would spread to other systems. Within days, it would reach the highest levels of galactic government. For now, though, he was just a ship captain who wanted to finish his resupply mission and get back to exploring the unknown regions of space. He had no idea that his broken arm would soon make humans the most talked about species in this sector of the galaxy. The medical reports from Nexus Station reached the Hegemony Council within 6 hours. The Council governed this entire sector of space, making decisions that affected billions of beings across hundreds of star systems. When something unusual happened, at a major trading station like Nexus, the Council needed to know immediately. Counselor Nexvan received the reports while reviewing military deployments in his private office. Nexvan was a Corvan warrior who had earned his position through combat, prowess, and tactical genius. The Corvans were proud of being the toughest species in known space. Their warriors were legendary for their strength, endurance, and fighting ability. Nexvan read the medical data 3 times. Each reading made him more angry. The reports claimed that soft-skinned mammals could survive injuries that would kill trained Corvan soldiers. It was impossible and insulting. This is human propaganda. Nexvan declared to his aide, a smaller Corvan named Keth Val. "They are trying to gain trade advantages by convincing us they are tougher than they appear. No mammalian species can possess such resilience." Keth Val reviewed the data carefully. "Sir, the medical scans come from Chief Medical Officer Keth Moore at Nexus Station. His reputation for accuracy is unquestioned. The data appears legitimate." Nexvan stood up from his desk. His 8-foot frame was covered in natural armor plating. His claws were as sharp as surgical instruments. His species had evolved on a world of constant warfare, where only the strongest survived. Legitimate or not, these claims cannot stand unchallenged. Nexvan growled, "If humans are truly as resilient as these reports suggest, they will accept a formal challenge. Combat trials will reveal the truth." Combat trials were an ancient tradition used to settle disputes between species. When two civilizations disagreed about military capabilities, strength, or honor, they could request formal trials. The challenged party could not refuse without being marked as weak throughout the sector. Keth Val looked worried. Sir, combat trials against humans seem excessive. Perhaps we could request additional medical verification instead. Nex Van slammed his clawed hand on the desk. The sound echoed through the office like thunder. The honor of the Corvan people is at stake. If some mammalian captain can survive injuries that would kill our warriors, then our reputation means nothing. The challenge was drafted according to ancient protocols and transmitted to Nexus Station. Jinho received the message while preparing his ship for departure. He read it twice, then called his senior officers to the briefing room. Chief Engineer Nam Tae-hoon was the first to respond. "Captain, this is insane. The Corvans are twice our size and 3 times our strength. Their bones are like metal plates. Their claws can cut through ship armor. Why would you even consider this?" Security Officer Kim Da-hee disagreed. "Tae-hoon, if we refuse this challenge, every human traitor in Corvan space will be marked as weak. They will think we are easy targets for robbery, piracy, or worse." Dr. So-min studied the challenge terms. "The trials allow medical support between rounds. I cannot fix everything, but I can help with the worst. Injuries. The real question is whether you can adapt fast enough to survive long enough." Jinho reviewed the challenge requirements. There were multiple trial types: endurance combat weapons, combat psychological warfare, and survival challenges. Each trial tested different aspects of warrior capability. The challenge party could choose 3 trials while the challenger chose the other 3. Dae-hee leaned forward eagerly. "Captain, I have been training for combat my entire life. This could be our chance to show the galaxy what humans can really do in a fight." Tae-hoon shook his head. "You are all crazy. The Corvans did not become the dominant military power in this sector by accident. They have conquered dozens of worlds. Their warriors are bred. For combat, Jinho considered all the arguments. The challenge could not be refused without marking all humans as weak, but accepting meant facing an opponent who outclassed him in every physical category. The smart choice was obvious. Sometimes the smart choice is not the right choice, Jinho said finally. "If we back down here, human exploration and trade in this sector will suffer. Every alien species will see us as weak creatures who cannot defend ourselves." So-min checked her medical supplies. "I will need to requisition additional trauma equipment from the station medical bay. The trials will cause extensive damage even if you win." Da-hee grinned. "This will be the fight of the century. I wish I could participate instead of just watching." Jinho sent his acceptance of the challenge back to Counselor Nex Van. The terms were agreed upon: 3 days of trials with 1 day between each trial for recovery. Medical support was allowed between rounds, but not during active combat. News of the accepted challenge spread across Nexus Station faster than the original medical reports. Betting pools opened immediately. Most odds favored the Corvans by overwhelming margins. Few aliens gave the human captain any chance of survival. Vel Terra received special permission to attend the trials as an official witness. Her report on Jinho's bone-setting incident had started this entire situation. She felt responsible for what might happen to the human captain. The arena master was a neutral celestial being, named Zarketh. Celestials were ancient creatures who had transcended physical form. They served as judges in important disputes because they had no stake in the outcomes. Zarketh reviewed the trial arrangements with both participants. The trials will test endurance, combat weapons, mastery, psychological resistance, survival capability, tactical thinking, and pure physical strength. Each participant may choose 3 trial types. Nex Van chose endurance, combat weapons, combat, and physical strength. Trials. These played to Corvan advantages in size, power, and military training. Jinho selected psychological resistance, survival capability, and tactical thinking trials. These required human adaptability and mental flexibility. The arena could accommodate 50,000 spectators. Representatives from dozens of species requested permission to attend. Scientists wanted to observe human performance under extreme stress. Military analysts hoped to assess human combat capability. Doctors planned to study human injury response in real time. Jin-Ho spent the preparation time reviewing Corvan fighting techniques and anatomy. Da-hee helped him train, while So-min studied Corvan physiology to understand where they might be vulnerable. The night before the trials began, Jin-Ho sat alone in his quarters aboard the Resilience. He was not afraid of fighting or even of dying. He was afraid of failing his crew and his species. If he lost badly, humans might be marked as weak for generations. Tae-hoon joined, him with a bottle of human whiskey that he had been saving for a special occasion. "Captain, whatever happens tomorrow, you have already proven that humans are tougher than anyone expected." Jin-Ho accepted the drink. "Maybe, but tomorrow I have to prove that being tough is enough." The Corvans did not become the dominant military power by accident. They know how to fight, and they know how to win. Da-hee entered the quarters, carrying her weapons maintenance kit. "Captain, I have been thinking about Corvan anatomy. They are strong and armored, but they are also heavy and slow. If you can make them chase you around the arena, their endurance might fail before yours." So-min brought her final medical preparations. The key will be surviving the early rounds, while learning their fighting patterns. Humans adapt faster than any other species, but you need time to make those adaptations. Jin-Ho nodded, understanding the strategy. The first few rounds would be about survival and observation. He needed to learn how Corvans fought while taking as little permanent damage as possible. Then he could start adapting his tactics to exploit their weaknesses. The next morning, 50,000 aliens filled the arena to watch a human captain face a Corvan warrior. In formal combat, most expected the trials to end quickly with human defeat. Few understood that they were about to witness something that would change how the galaxy viewed humanity forever. The combat trials ended without a clear victor, but with something far more important: mutual understanding and galactic recognition. Counselor Nex Van, despite his species' warrior pride, publicly acknowledged something that had never happened in Corvan military history. "You did not defeat me through superior strength or speed." Nex Van announced to the arena crowd, his voice carrying across the communication networks to billions of listeners throughout the galaxy. "You defeated me by becoming better during our fight." This is disturbing, yet worthy of the highest respect. Jin-Ho helped the injured Corvan warrior to his feet, showing the kind of respect that warriors gave to each other. "After honorable combat, I learned more about fighting. In 3 days, then in 3 years of training, your people are incredible warriors, but humans and Corvans fight differently." Within minutes of the trials, conclusion footage began spreading across galactic communication networks. Scientists from hundreds of species requested emergency research permits to study human adaptation abilities. Military strategists demanded briefings on human combat potential. Diplomatic corps scrambled to revise their assessments of Earth's strategic value. Dr. Keth Moore compiled his medical observations into what would become the most widely distributed scientific paper in galactic history, titled "Real-Time Evolutionary Adaptation in Combat Situations: A Study of Human Biology." His crystal body pulsed with excited energy as he transmitted the data to research institutions across known space. "This changes our understanding of biological limits," Keth Moore announced during a galaxy-wide medical conference broadcast. "The human species demonstrates capabilities that we considered theoretically impossible. They use damage as upgrade material rather than degradation." Trade negotiations that had been stalled for months suddenly accelerated as alien civilizations recognized the value of human resilience. Shipping. Companies wanted human crews for dangerous routes. Exploration guilds offered lucrative contracts for human captains willing to map hazardous regions. "Captain, the requests are flooding in," Chief Engineer Tae-hoon reported while reviewing the communications. Backlog 17. Different species want to hire human crews for high-risk missions. 23 research institutions want to study our medical capabilities. 41 trading companies are offering exclusive partnership agreements, Dr. So-min found. Herself invited to medical conferences across the galaxy as the leading expert on human biology. Her simple explanations of human healing and adaptation became required study material in alien medical schools. The most significant change was not in trade agreements or research contracts, but in how other species viewed humanity. Security Officer Kim De-hee noticed it first during their departure from Nexus Station, Captain. Look at how the aliens are staring at us now, she observed as they walked through the station corridors. Before the trials, they looked at us like we were interesting pets. Now they look at us like we are dangerous predators. Jin-ho nodded, understanding the shift. The galaxy had learned that humans were not just another spacefaring species. They were something unprecedented, a civilization that grew stronger through adversity. Rather than weaker, Velterra approached them at the docking bay, her scales displaying patterns of respect and caution. Captain Jin-ho, I wanted to thank you for demonstrating human capabilities in such a remarkable way. The station administration has approved new safety protocols specifically designed to accommodate human physiology. Jin-ho smiled, appreciating the gesture. We never meant to cause such a commotion. We were just doing what humans do, adapting to the situation. The real impact became clear as the Resilience prepared to depart Nexus Station. Jin-ho received updated star charts showing trade routes that had been restricted. To humans for the first time, regions of space that other species considered too dangerous were now open to human exploration. Navigation Officer Han Min-soo reviewed the new charts with excitement. Captain, we have access to systems that have been unexplored. The news spread through Nexus Station faster than a computer virus. Every alien worker who had witnessed Jin-ho's impossible recovery told someone else. Within 2 hours, the story had reached every level of the massive space station, from the lowest maintenance crews to the highest administrative offices. Everyone was talking about the human who fixed his own broken bones. Velterra filed her official report marking it as impossible biological event. She had never used that classification before. In 70 years of managing cargo operations, the report automatically triggered alerts in the station's medical department, scientific research division, and security office. Chief Medical Officer Keth Moore received the alert while treating a Corvin warrior for minor combat injuries. Keth Moore was a crystalline being whose body was made of living crystal that pulsed with different colors depending on his emotions. When he read Velterra's report, his entire body flashed bright orange, which meant extreme disbelief. This cannot be accurate, Keth Moore said to his assistant, a small, furry creature named Pip-cha. No known species can manually reset compound fractures and continue normal activity. The pain responses alone would cause systemic shock. Pip-cha squeaked nervously while reviewing the medical scanner readings that Velterra had submitted. The data confirms the report, Chief. The human shows recent fracture patterns in the left arm, but the bones are already beginning to fuse without medical intervention. The healing rate is approximately 10 times faster than baseline for most humanoid species. Keth Moore studied the data more carefully. His crystal body shifted to deep purple, which indicated intense scientific curiosity. This is the most fascinating biological phenomenon I have encountered in my career. We must examine this human immediately. An emergency medical council was called. Representatives from 12 different medical specialties gathered in the station's main medical complex. Dr. So-min accompanied Jin-ho to the meeting, though he insisted it was unnecessary. The medical bay was crowded with alien doctors and scientists. They came in all shapes and sizes. Some were tall and thin, others were short and round. A few floated in the air while others slithered across the floor. All of them stared at Jin-ho as if he was the most interesting specimen they had ever seen. Kethmore approached with his advanced medical scanners. The crystalline being was twice as tall as Jin-Ho, and his body cast rainbow reflections on the walls. "Please remain still, human captain, while we conduct our examination. This will not cause discomfort." The scanners hummed and beeped as they analyzed every part of Jin-Ho's body. The readings appeared. On holographic displays that surrounded the examination area, dozens of alien medical professionals studied the data with growing amazement. Extraordinary Kethmore announced his crystal body now glowing bright blue with excitement. The bone density is nearly 3 times that of comparable species. The muscle fiber composition shows remarkable redundancy and regenerative capability. The cardiovascular system demonstrates adaptive rerouting capabilities that I have never observed, a spider-like. Alien doctor with 8 eyes crawled closer to examine the displays. Chief Kethmore, these readings suggest that this human's entire biological system is designed for survival under extreme conditions. Look at the nervous system architecture. It appears optimized for pain tolerance and rapid adaptation. Jin-Ho stood patiently while the aliens discussed his body as if he was not there. So Min translated some of the more technical terms, but Jin-Ho understood enough. He had always known humans were tough compared to most aliens, but he had never realized just how different they were. Dr. Pipcha, the small furry assistant, bounced excitedly while reviewing the brain scans. "Chief, the neural pathways show incredible plasticity. The human brain can literally rewire itself around damage. This explains how he remained functional during such severe trauma." A tall blue alien with 4 arms raised one hand to ask a question. "I am Dr. Nextal from the Corvin Medical Institute. How is such pain tolerance possible? My species are considered among the toughest warriors in the galaxy, but none of us could function with such injuries." So Min stepped forward to answer. "As a human medical officer, I can explain. Our species evolved on a world that was extremely dangerous. Every day brought new threats from predators, diseases, natural disasters, and environmental hazards. Humans who could not adapt quickly died before they could reproduce." She gestured to Jin-Ho. "Our bodies learned to treat injury as information, rather than incapacitation. When something breaks, we assess the damage, make temporary repairs, and continue functioning. The permanent healing happens later when we are safe." Jin-Ho nodded, adding his own perspective. "Pain tells us something needs attention, but it does not control our actions. If our ancestors had stopped moving every time they were hurt, the predators would have eaten them. We learned to fight through damage because survival depended on it. The medical staff took detailed scans and samples. They discovered that human bone marrow produced stem cells at rates far exceeding any known species. Human blood carried clotting agents that could seal wounds within minutes. The human immune system could adapt to new threats faster than most species could identify them." Kethmore compiled the data into a comprehensive report. "This is revolutionary," he announced to the gathered medical professionals. "Most civilized species evolved past the need for such primitive survival mechanisms. We developed medical technology to handle injuries and diseases. A floating jellyfish-like alien pulsed with different colors as it spoke. That is precisely what makes this so significant. We have become dependent on our medical technology. Humans carry their medical system within their own bodies." Dr. Nextal from the Corvin Institute looked troubled. This suggests that humans might be more suited for frontier exploration than species like ours. "We Corvins pride ourselves on physical toughness, but we require medical support for serious injuries." Jin-Ho smiled grimly. "Maybe that is why humans keep exploring dangerous regions while other species build comfortable civilizations. We cannot help ourselves. We see unknown space, and we have to know what is out there." The examination continued for 3 hours. The medical staff tested Jin-Ho's reflexes, measured his healing rates, and analyzed his blood chemistry. Every test revealed new aspects of human biological capability that seemed impossible to other species, so Min provided additional context explaining human medical history. She told them about battlefield medicine, where humans learned to treat severe injuries with minimal equipment. She described human athletes who pushed their bodies beyond normal limits and recovered stronger than before. The most shocking discovery came when they compared human genetics to other species' databases. Humans showed evidence of surviving multiple extinction events, asteroid impacts, ice ages, viral pandemics, and solar radiation had all shaped human evolution. Your species has been tested by catastrophe repeatedly. Keth Moore observed his crystal body now glowing with deep respect. Most species that face such challenges become extinct. Humans used each challenge as an opportunity to become more resilient. Pipcha reviewed the genetic markers with growing excitement. Chief, look at these adaptation sequences. The human genome shows evidence of rapid evolutionary responses to environmental pressure. Their DNA is designed for change. As the examination concluded, the alien medical staff reached a unanimous conclusion. Humans represented something unprecedented in galactic biology. They were a species that had been forged by adversity, rather than weakened by it. Dr. Nextal approached Jin Ho with something resembling respect. Captain, I must ask you a direct question. Are all humans capable of such recovery, or are you exceptional among your species? Jin Ho considered the question. Carefully, I am probably tougher than average because of my military training and space exploration experience, but any healthy human could do what I did if they had to. Survival is built into our bones. The medical report that Keth Moore filed that. They would change how the galaxy viewed humanity. The document described a species that carried medical technology within their own biology. They could adapt to injuries that would kill other species and emerge stronger than before. As Jin Ho and Somin left the medical complex, word was already spreading to other systems. Scientists from dozens of worlds requested copies of the data. Military strategists began reassessing human capabilities. Diplomatic corps started wondering what other surprises this young species might have. Jin Ho remained unaware that his simple act of setting a broken bone had triggered a galaxy-wide reevaluation of human potential. He was focused on preparing his ship for departure and getting back to the work he loved, exploring the unknown regions of space. But the galaxy was beginning to understand that humans might be the key to surviving in regions too dangerous for other species to explore. The combat trials continued for 3 days. Each new challenge revealed another impossible aspect of human capability that shocked the galaxy. The second day featured weapons combat where Jin Ho learned to use Corvan battle axes and plasma spears. During the actual fighting, his technique improved with each exchange until he was matching a trained Corvan warrior who had decades of experience. The psychological warfare trial was even more remarkable. Corvan mental attacks that had broken enemy commanders were absorbed by Jin Ho's human brain and converted into tactical advantages. The neural pathways that other species used for fear and despair were repurposed by human biology for pattern recognition and strategic thinking. But the most shocking revelation came during the survival trial. On the third day, Jin Ho had been fighting continuously for 6 hours. His body showed extensive damage from 3 days of brutal combat. Broken bones, torn muscles, severe cuts, and internal bleeding marked his small human frame. Any other species would have collapsed hours ago. Most civilized beings would have died from the accumulated trauma. Corvan warriors were considered the toughest in the galaxy, but even they required medical intervention. After such punishment, instead Jin Ho appeared to be getting stronger. Dr. Keth Moore monitored the medical scanners from his observation platform, his crystal body flashing through colors of scientific ecstasy. "The readings are impossible," he announced to the gathered medical staff. "His bone density has increased another 12% since this morning. Muscle fiber density is up 23%. His cardiovascular efficiency has improved dramatically. Velterra stared at the medical displays, her reptilian scales shifting through patterns of disbelief. You mean he is literally becoming more capable because of the damage? That is exactly what is happening, Kethmore confirmed. The human body is not just healing from injuries, it is rebuilding itself to be more resistant to similar damage. This is evolutionary adaptation happening in real time under combat conditions. Nex Van heard the medical reports from his recovery platform. The proud Corvan warrior was now heavily bandaged and exhausted. Despite his species' reputation for toughness, 3 days of fighting had pushed him to his absolute limits. This is impossible, Nex Van protested weakly. No species improves from injury. My people are the strongest warriors in the galaxy. We know the limits of biological capability. Dr. So-Min accessed the medical data stream that was being broadcast to scientific institutions across the galaxy. Actually, that is exactly what humans do. She explained to the listening crowd. We call it adaptation. Our bodies do not just heal, they rebuild stronger than before. She gestured toward Jin Ho, who was still moving efficiently despite his injuries. Every stress makes us more resistant to that type of damage. Our bones become denser after breaks. Our muscles grow larger after tears. Our nervous system develops better pain management after trauma. The Arena Master. Zarketh floated down to examine the medical evidence. In 300 years of managing formal combat trials, I have never witnessed biological improvement during active combat. This human appears to be evolving during the fight itself. Jin Ho took a drink of water during a brief rest period, then returned to his fighting stance. His movements were more precise than they had been. At the start of the trials, his defense was more effective. His attacks found vulnerabilities that had not existed in Corvan anatomy databases. Dr. Pipcha bounced excitedly while reviewing the latest brain scans. His neural activity shows new pathway, development that occurred during the combat stress. The human brain is literally rewiring itself to process Corvan fighting patterns more effectively. A delegation of military observers from 12 different species huddled together, discussing the implications. If humans could adapt this rapidly during combat, they represented a completely new category of warrior species. Traditional military doctrine would need complete revision. The fourth trial was tactical thinking under pressure. Jin Ho was required to solve complex strategic problems, while Nex Van attempted to disrupt his concentration through physical attacks. Instead of being distracted by pain and fatigue, Jin Ho used the combat stress to enhance his analytical capabilities. Human cognitive function appears to improve under extreme stress. Dr. Kethmore reported to the galaxy-wide scientific audience watching the trials. Instead of mental degradation, we are observing enhanced pattern recognition, strategic thinking, and tactical adaptation. The crowd of 50,000 spectators had grown quiet as they realized they were witnessing something unprecedented. The betting pools had closed because nobody could predict how this impossible human performance would end during the fifth trial weapons mastery. Jin Ho demonstrated the ability to learn new combat techniques instantly through painful trial and error. Each time Nex Van landed a successful attack with a traditional Corvan weapon, Jin Ho absorbed the lesson and developed countermeasures. By the end of the weapons trial, Jin Ho was using Corvan battle axes with techniques that Corvan military academies had never seen. He combined human flexibility with Corvan weapon design to create fighting methods that were superior to either approach alone. The pattern is consistent across all trials, Zarketh announced to the arena. This human does not just survive damage, he uses it as educational material. Each injury teaches him something new about his opponents, capabilities and limitations. The final trial was pure physical endurance. Both fighters were required to perform increasingly difficult physical tasks while carrying heavy weights, climbing obstacles, and maintaining combat readiness. The trial was designed to test the absolute limits of biological capability. Nexvan, who had trained his entire life for such challenges, began showing signs of exhaustion after 2 hours. His Corvan physiology was reaching its maximum sustainable output. Jin Ho, who had never trained for these specific challenges, continued improving his performance throughout the trial. The human is achieving physical performance levels that exceed his baseline capabilities. Dr. Keth Moore announced in amazement, "His strength, speed, and endurance are all higher now than when the trials began. This contradicts everything we know about biological limits under stress." As the trials entered their final hour, Jin Ho was lifting heavier weights, running faster distances, and solving tactical problems more quickly than he had at any previous point. The accumulated damage from 3 days of combat had somehow made him more capable. Instead of less, Counselor Nexvan watched from his medical platform as Jin Ho completed physical challenges that would have been impossible for the human captain 3 days earlier. The proud Corvan warrior was being forced to accept a reality that challenged everything his species believed about strength and endurance. "Your people do not just heal from injury," Nexvan said quietly to Dr. So-min. "They use injury as improvement material. This is the most disturbing and impressive biological capability I have ever witnessed." So-min nodded, understanding the implications. "Our ancestors survived on Earth by becoming stronger through adversity. Every challenge made them more capable of handling similar challenges in the future. Modern humans inherited that adaptive biology. The trials concluded with mutual respect rather than victory. Jin Ho had demonstrated human biological capabilities that seemed impossible to every other known species. Nexvan had learned that strength and toughness meant something completely different when applied to humans, as Jin Ho stood in the center of the arena, battered but visibly stronger than when the trials began. 50,000 alien spectators realized they had witnessed the emergence of a new type of warrior species. Humans did not just fight, they evolved during combat itself. The galaxy would never view humanity the same way again.